The Queens County Museum, located in historic Liverpool, Nova Scotia, has a well-deserved reputation as one of the province's most haunted buildings. Built on land once owned by colonial-era entrepreneur Simeon Perkins, the museum embodies both the history and the mystery that forms an integral part of life on the shores of Canada's East Coast. The exhibits tell tales of buried treasure, pirates, privateers, bootleggers, and explorers. But it's stories of a more otherworldly nature that led Holly Stevens and me through its doors in April 2017. Stories with which museum director Linda Rafuse has had first-hand experience. So what about you? Have you ever had any personal experience with either the older gentleman or the little girl in this particular area?
I had an experience one day, and I'm not sure if it was the child or if it was the gentleman. But I was building an exhibit out in this case one day. I was here alone, and I had to go out into the back room to get some props. And when I went out into the back room, I had to stop in the doorway inside the room because I'd forgotten something. And I was thinking, what did I come here for? And just as I stopped, something came around that door and flew right into my back and made me go like this.
Wow.
So I thought, and I turned around and I said, "You lost track of me, didn't you?" And that's what I thought it was.
See, because most people, when something flies into them and pushes them, I've had friends in the United Kingdom in particular describe poltergeist activity, which is and very much like that. A friend of mine who was at a house where there was poltergeist, and he was pushed off a bed. And he said, I asked him, "What did you do?" And he said, "I left the room and then I left the house." But so you didn't view it as a negative thing.
I felt that it was like, it was because, you know, we lived together peacefully, so I felt really like it was they lost track of me. They weren't paying attention, and I was like, oh my gosh, where did she go? And they flew around the corner and didn't see me standing there. That's what it felt like.
Now, when people come here, because I know you're brave and totally positive towards any activity,
yeah.
But do you ever get anybody who's come here who's reported any negative effects, or is it, and I'm only asking because I want just one place in my ghost hunting career where it's totally positive. And I haven't had that yet, so hopefully this is it.
Maybe tonight will be the first one.
Yes, please.
Yeah. No, I can't honestly say that we've heard anything negative. We haven't heard anyone come in here and talk about anything nasty. No.
And yet, you have a room you call the void.
Yeah.
Now, you don't call it the void because it's negative. You call it the void
because it's so black. It's so dark. Well, there's no windows, yeah.
All right.
So you dare not move, and you've experienced that. You dare not move when the lights are out. While I was getting a tour of the museum from Linda, Holly and our friend Kim Bennett had decided to get up close and personal with James and Jediah Gorham, a prominent couple in 19th century Liverpool whose portraits hang in the museum's archives room and who are buried nearby.
Loverly. There we go. As the bell tolls.
Do we just do something really bad?
You are welcome to communicate with us, and we can put that back. You are not welcome to possess Kim or I.
Or come home with us.
If you want to possess Paul temporarily, you know, on film.
A couple of minutes.
That is okay. but no harm. There will be no harming of cast or crew.
Nope. Won't have it.
Yeah, no harming. But you are welcome to communicate. You are welcome to talk to us. That's communicating. You're welcome to possess Paul for a short period of time.
You were going to hell for that.
As Holly was inviting the forces of darkness to possess me, I was about to enter the area of the museum known as the Void. The hiring policy here at the museum, apparently only employees can experience the void.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know if you want, we turned the lights out unknowingly one day. We had a surveyor up there looking through some old maps, and we forgot that he was up there. And one of the staff went by and saw that the light was on and said, "Oh, that light's not supposed to be on," she turned it off. closed the door, and all we heard was screaming.
Wow.
A man. He screamed. It was hilarious.
Yeah, you might hear some of that from
Because
me
it's
tonight.
a void. You can't move. You don't know what to...
Right.
You lose your sense of direction.
All right, into the void we
Into
go.
the void.
With the lights on. All righty. Totally stabbed myself with the key. That's okay. Ow. It's the void. It's the ghost hunting trap of death. All right, watch the key here, camera folks, because that just took a piece out of my back, and the ceiling probably concussed, but we'll be fine. All right, Linda, turn the lights
Ready?
out.
Okay?
Yep. Yeah, that's a void. Actually,
Don't move.
no, we've got light. I have a flashlight.
Whoever's up here, and at times we feel that it's like we have felt female, but we've also felt male. But staff over the years have always said that whether they're going up the steps or whether they're coming down the steps, they always feel like they're being watched. I have felt that myself very strongly, coming down the steps or going up. So right where you're standing at the top of the steps is where that presence is always felt. And it's always felt as though they're watching you.
They'd come up like that, up
Yeah,
the stairs, and
whenever
they'd...
you're going up the steps or coming down, you always feel like you're being watched.
So I'd be the ghost right now.
You'd be
This
the
would
ghost right now,
Okay,
yeah.
that's good to know. So yeah, void, interesting, scary, and potentially life-threatening to me. Everybody else will be fine, but we'll move those filing cabinets.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
totally, the mannequins up there, what do you use them for the various exhibits, I
Yeah,
assume?
they're prop right now.
I had a friend who sadly passed away just a couple weeks after my older Ghost series was released in 2009, and he was very excited about Mac Toney's, who was a dear friend of mine. And so one of the things that was most interested Mac, he had this obsession with mannequins.
Yeah.
He would go everywhere, he'd take pictures of them. I've, for the last 9 years, sort of thought about trying to contact Mac and see, if there's something out there. Because we used to joke, like Harry Houdini said, if one of us goes before the other one, see if you can...
Make contact.
Right, to come back to the other side.
Yeah.
So while Mac has... Actually, he has been to Nova Scotia. I brought him up here a couple times. He's
Okay.
never been to Liverpool,
Yeah.
but the mannequin thing might be an interesting trigger object if I'm sitting there to see if maybe Mac from the void, if he's out there, could come
Well,
in.
this certainly would be a good room to sit in because this room is full of mannequins.
I hadn't even thought of that. We could do it here, because, right, we're
Yeah.
all mannequins everywhere. So I'm upstairs in the void, and which I tried to avoid, but here I am. So we've set up kind of a three-pronged thing to begin our evening tonight because there's reported paranormal activity here and also directly underneath me in what we'll call the kids' room. So we have Kim Bennett downstairs. So she's down there with the REM pod and a couple of other things which are really cool. We'll see if she can make any contact tonight. Holly is on monitor duty, but not just monitoring the monitor, but also she has her EDI there, so she'll be able to take some measurements and recordings. Maybe something will happen weird there because, as Linda Rayfuse explained to us, sometimes when you're sitting at the bottom of the stairs and looking up, you'll see the presence of whatever or whoever might be up here. For my case, I'll be down in this area, which is a storage area that we came down earlier today, so there's all sorts of creepy stuff down here, but this is one of those areas where there's purported paranormal activity. And also, down here, everybody be careful. You can see one of our cameras set up right there. And down here we have our last CCTV set up, which is right here. Now, before I show you what we have it set up on, do a very quick explanation. Very dear friend of mine died in 2009, shortly after my last ghost adventure with Holly. We had done a year of ghost investigating, and his name was Mac Toney's. He was only 36 years old, died far, far too young. So one of my best friends. And he was a big fan of the paranormal, as was I. That's how we met on UFO bulletin boards back in the early part of the... Yes?
When you started talking about Mac Toney's,
Yeah?
we started getting REM pod activity downstairs.
Freaky. Okay, so weird. I'm going to send Dylan down to the REM pod, but Mac Toney's in here. Mannequins and Zorgrot, a stuffed animal that has been my mascot for 20 years of filming. And so Mac, big fan of Zorgrot too. I've set this camera up here to monitor Zorgrot and the mannequins and as a trigger object, trying to communicate with the spirit of Mac Tony's, my dear friend. So using Zorgrot and the mannequins to maybe facilitate that, but we've had a report of REM pod activity down with Kim at the moment I mentioned Mac's name, because Holly can hear me talking up here. So I'm going to send Dylan down to see what's happening down there, while I'm going to go to the other end of the void, and Zorgrot will leave here to see if Mac is here, or anything, or anyone is here, whether he comes up. But that was weird.
Kim, you okay?
Yeah.
Good. Just go slowly. She's getting a constant light on it coming up right now. It's like something's right beside it and not moving.
You know what? He's my best friend.
Why don't you go down, Paul? Just gentle, gentle, gentle. You can see it's lit up right now.
Yeah. So I'm going to, he was my friend. You don't know. This might not be Mac Tony's, but because I was talking about him, I'll just go over so I don't kill myself here. And
I'm just sitting in the dark.
sitting in the dark, always fun.
Yeah, so it's been beeping and lighting up. The blue light is on constantly, which I've not seen before. And also, usually it just beeps,
Right.
whereas it was like beep.
So now, did that happen when I mentioned my friend Mac's name, kind of thing?
Yeah, and then when you were coming downstairs,
Oh,
it's been constant. And every now and then it like blah, 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 beeps.
and so we think that there is potentially some spirit in here, whether or not it's the spirit of my dear friend Mac Tony's, who, are you?
Every time you say his name, it does that.
That's odd. I feel like the Star Trek episode where the captain speaks with one beep or two beeps. I should be asking yes or no
do it.
questions.
You should.
So, is my dearly departed friend Mac Tony's here, or some other entity that may be, impersonating Mac to try and sort of have some fun with us, which is cool. Totally cool with that. Mac would appreciate it. So, again, my friend Mac, are you here? All right, that's really weird. Maybe I'm talking to my old friend. So, and maybe he's knocking on the roof too. I don't know if anybody else heard that.
Yeah, I did.
There is now no longer anybody upstairs because I am downstairs. So, last time, not going to say your name, Mac. All right, see, I was just testing you there. But if you are here, or another entity is here, perhaps you could make yourself known to us one more time. Although, I hate to overtax you because I'm sure you have other planets and other galaxies to visit, which is what I would do if I was you. But thanks for dropping by. And, how is it on the other side if you're over there? I don't know how your cats are doing, EB and the other one, whose name escapes me at the moment. Sorry, I forgot the name of the other cat, all right? EBE, extraterrestrial biological entity. That one I can remember. The other one was Kodos, Ben. So anyway, all right, well, a little freaky, won't lie. Oh my God, it's like Holly's invaded my mind. I'm just saying things that she says. Won't lie, a little freaky.
Unknown.
Unknown, uncertain. But I'm going to, Mac would appreciate this too. My knee is really starting to hurt, and so are my shins. So Mac, if you're here, or whatever might be here, I'm going to leave.
Do you think someone could maybe leave me with a voice recorder and I try and have a conversation?
There you go.
All right, see you guys.
His name is Mac Tony's, but it might not
Do you
be.
think he'd like me?
Yeah, actually, I do think he'd like you.
Really?
You're exactly in his wheelhouse.
Yay.
I mean that in a good way.
Or maybe not.
Or maybe not.
We'll see.
I will say this, Mac would appreciate this. One of the things that I've written about is this idea that we could be dealing with an advanced non-human intelligence that interacts with us in myriad ways, that it's not really Mac or it's not really the ghosts or anything that the folks here have reported. It's this trickster-like element that is kind of testing us and, if not testing us, amusing itself, finding ways to interact. So Mac would appreciate it if that was what was going on. Who knows? But this is definitely as soon as we started filming and as soon as I mentioned Mac's name, boom. So I'm just going to go upstairs because I'm not saying it's Mac, but if it is, I'm just going to go think to myself for a sec.
All right. So I think I will just sit here and try to get into my little quiet space, and then I'll maybe ask some questions.
I'm gonna come in, Kim.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I just want to see if there's any, oh, fun. Thank you for joining us here.
As Holly and Kim continued to try and make contact with whatever or whoever was manipulating our REM pod, I sat down at the monitor station so that I could observe the proceedings.
Stop the noise on the instrument if you followed us from the cemetery today.
From one of the cemeteries today?
Okay. Did you follow us from the graves that we were at today? Okay. Stop the noise if you are a resident ghost here.
Do you live
the
here?
Museum. Oh. Are you the little girl that Linda refers to that has been seen here in this room? You can stop the beeping if you're that little girl. Are you trying to leave and can't?
Oh, God. That's a horrible feeling.
Why do I feel like her name is Lucy? Just got Edie picking up temperature change and pressure change. I've just turned on the geophone on the Edie. If you're here, can you make it move? Can you make these light up by tapping here? See how that does that? Can you tap that for us? Is that a no? That's a no. That's cool. I was just curious.
Thank you.
Okay, so can I call you Lucy? I'm gonna take that as a yes. Lucy, do you want us to go? Do you want us to stay here with you right now?
I don't know. I feel like she likes it here, and she just doesn't have anything else. She just doesn't have anywhere else to go.
Lucy, it's the way that we can help you.
I'm really sorry to say this, but I don't think she's all there. I think she's younger than she is. I think her mind is younger than it is. Jim?
I understand what you mean, but yeah.
I don't know how to say that to her without...
Well, I think you just did.
I'm sorry, but I think she doesn't have anywhere else to go. Her family gave her up or something. Her family couldn't deal. And I don't know. I just feel like she doesn't have anyone. She hangs out here. She likes it. There's shit that reminds her of things.
Yeah, maybe.
Over the years, we've had a number of sensitives that will come in and they'll tell us things, and they've told us about the little girl that's in there, and she kind of stays on her own, and she's been told that she kind of stays by herself and she's not to approach people, and she says that she stays in there because there's a favorite toy in there that she has, and you were saying that. And also you were talking about that you felt that the girl was maybe a little bit older and she was a young girl. And young in her head, but a little bit older.
Biologically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then it seemed like you were describing Caleb Seeley's daughter, because she lived next door in the house, and she died young, and according to the story, she was kept upstairs on purpose because of that.
That was something to be embarrassed of in that time.
Yeah, they didn't want, she would bother people, so they kept her upstairs all the time. And she wasn't to come down, and there were things wrong with her. But she died young, and she's up in the Seeley vault.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thanks. I feel like I'm sensitive to things, but I also think that could be all in my head. So it's really exciting for me when I can pick up on something and then have it verified like that.
This was Kim Bennett's first time on a ghost investigation. And after just a few hours, the experience had already moved her in ways she had not expected. As she sought out solitude to contemplate what had happened so far, I sat down with Linda to see if there was anything in the history of the location that tied into Holly's feeling that the name Lucy was somehow linked to the REM pod activity we had experienced.
So where does that name come from? Because Simeon Perkins had a daughter, he had 9 kids, had a daughter named Lucy, after his sister, who had been died when she was 16, so tragedy there.
Yeah.
The daughter, when she, and you didn't know any of this.
I didn't know any of this.
So the daughter, when she was 3, named Lucy also, was terribly burned in a fire. She caught it from the hearth. And so she lived into her late 30s and married and got moved to New York later. So, but still, that kind of trauma, you know, I know Kim was saying she thinks it's Anne, right? This other...
Well, we did get a positive response when we asked whether or not there was more than one person. So it is plausible that we were speaking to more than one spirit that could be in the room. And that's why there might have been more than one answer, and why Kim was feeling something else. It's also plausible, I would think, that if there's a trauma in childhood, psychologically speaking, a piece of the psyche can fracture and maybe it got left behind.
Or, and I'll leave folks with this, I'll leave you with this idea that I've come up with over the years, none of those are true, because when I went down to the REM pod and it bloop, bloop, blooped for me, I was talking about Mac Toney's, an entirely different person who's never even been here, but he's very personal to me. So what if it is some singular entity that is interacting with us? We don't know. Some people would call it a demon, some would call it a non-human intelligence. We don't know what it is, but a trickster of myth and lore. And it interacts with all 3 of us, you, Kim, and me, differently, putting different ideas in your head, giving me a different response, and Kim gets a different idea, total different perspectives, but it's all the same thing. And it's like a fun house of mirrors or something like that. And
For what purpose?
Well, why do we play with cats, with lasers? Why do people, you know, sort of do that so that the cat, and they...
So you think something's toying with us tonight?
Holly? Yeah. Do you have those 4 extra